championship because they had their main title, and probably the Three Pistols is their mid card title. So if Smash ever did think about doing so, that could be an option, though they are working on getting their third title in existence in August, and we'll get touch on that in a little bit. Next up was Stu Grayson taking on uh, oh man, his
Josh
name
Briggs.
Josh Briggs. That's right. He reminded me of one of the Tough Enough winners, but it turns out it wasn't him. Another really hard hitting match between Briggs and Grayson, and they were definitely challenging each other punch for punch. And Grayson ended up going over, and he advanced to the next round. Your thoughts on that match between Briggs and Stu? I want to say Bennett again,
Grayson.
but Stu Grayson.
It's interesting to see a guy like Josh Briggs because the guy's ginormous. Stu Grayson, one of the most gifted athletes as far as Smash or any other promotion goes. I mean, he's right up there with Matt Cross, and if you don't understand the theory behind the two of them, just go look it on YouTube for some of their videos as far as the training regiments go. Surprised in this one. I figured first time I ever got to see Josh Briggs, he's got that kind of Drew McIntyre kind of look to him, just mean guy as well. But the match was good. Surprised Grayson went over, but I mean, again, he's SSB, so it's always going to be one of my favorites, and advancing in the tournament was a good thing.
Yeah. Then there was having Psycho Mike Rollins needing to go against somebody, and after he took out Pepper Parks or the Blade, Smash Wrestling was looking for somebody to step in and take on Psycho Mike. And up until last minute, they still hadn't found anybody. And Mike came out and issued an open challenge. We saw what happened when Mike ended up breaking the space-time continuum and coming from Japan back to London to confront the Blade. And instead of somebody coming out, of course, Mike Rollins' conscience decided to challenge Mike Rollins to a one-on-one, if you want to call it one-on-one, battle against each other. And that challenge was accepted. Mike is a genius, shall we say. Uh, and he battled himself punch for punch, put himself through a table, avoided getting hit with a chair shot, nearly choked himself out with a sleeper hold. And after going through the table, he was able to get the victory. And the conscience was just like, hey, we got these marks. They believed everything we just put on, and you get to advance to the next round of the tournament. Your thoughts on the fact that we got to see Psycho Mike versus Psycho Mike?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because it's kind of one of those things I was thinking about. It could actually, he's the one guy who could do this and make it work. And obviously, we've seen that. I was just actually, while you're just talking there, Googling who else has fought the Invisible Man, so to speak. And Joey Janela is one of them, as well as the Brian Kendricks. So I haven't seen the matches, but Joey Janela, I'd assume, would be absolutely phenomenal. Mike Rollins, I'll continue to say until I'm blue in the face, is the most underrated guy on the Ontario Canadian independent wrestling scene. He's one of those guys, and I think I mentioned this before, doesn't need a title to be over. He's very down to earth and humble from what I've seen when he's doing the autograph signings and stuff like that. And I mean, his character is one of those things when I see Psycho Mike on one of the Smash shows, like it's automatically going to be, worth the money right there. And, props to him for being able to pull this off, because you think about the Smash Wrestling roster, any roster for that matter, and how many guys can you think of that be able to pull that off and have the crowd behind the match? So, props to Psycho Mike.
Yeah, and the fact that he obviously pre-records his own voice doing the conscience. It's not having somebody up in the booth like with Alan or somebody uh, running the commentary back and forth, and it's a different person. He's actually planned this whole thing out from start to finish, and just as I said, he's totally amazing with how he puts it all together, and then battling himself. Like we thought it was pretty cool him tagging with himself against Butcher and Blade, but to do a whole match by yourself, unbelievable.
Yeah, apparently there's YouTube footage of Batman versus the Invisible Man. So
Oh,
I guess
interesting.
I guess Mike Rollins is going to be a superhero at this point.
Yeah. We also saw Evil Uno take on Anthony Green. Uno came out with two of his minions. Green came out with two of his lady friends. I didn't catch what their names were. So the sides were pretty even. At one point, the goons tried to get involved, and the girls came in and gave double RKOs or diamond cutters to them. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough between everybody, and Uno scored the victory over Anthony Green, who has the retrosexual, somewhat like a who am I thinking of?
Thinking Janela,
No,
not
I'm
Janela,
thinking
Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan. Yes, he has somewhat of a Joey Ryan aspect to him, even a Ricky Wildley image. And so that seems to be a recurring theme with a lot of guys lately. But it's getting over. He was definitely over, Anthony Green was, and it was a really good match. What do you think about the fact that Uno advanced along with his Super Smash Brother tag team partner?
See, when that so I'm a mark for Uno. Um, he's it's funny how a guy that size and that out of shape can move in the ring, but and it's the character that goes along with him as well. And anyways, when he went over, I was thinking to myself, okay, now they got both Super Smash Brothers in, to the next round. I'm thinking to myself, fingers crossed, maybe we'll get to see them in the same match together against each other. It'd be kind of cool. But it didn't play out that way, unfortunately. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to spoil anymore. But anyways, SSB is better as a tag team. I mean, and it's interesting to see what AEW is going to do with these guys. But yeah, like I said, I love the Uno character. Anthony Green surprised me because I wasn't aware of the guy, but the gimmick's kind of cool. At one point he was in the ring and he had pants on, and he whips off the pants and flies them up in the air, and Uno was just kind of dazed and everything else. So he's definitely got a gimmicky kind of character, but he's gifted as far as his his moves go as well, and it doesn't hurt with the eye candy that came along with them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of Anthony Green in the future. Maybe even look back on YouTube and see what they have with him and get to know who he actually had at ringside with him. Um, so that brings us to Mike Bailey against John Greed, the leader of Disgraceland. He had Logan with him. So he had definitely contrast in styles here with the karate and speed factor with Speedball, Mike Bailey, and the stronger style and sort of big man, obviously, style of John Greed. Match went back and forth pretty well, but in the end, Mike Bailey did score the victory and advance to the second round. Your thoughts?
I gotta say this: Logan's probably one of the creepiest looking bastards on the indie scene. It's it's all about the character though too. I mean, he plays it up, and he doesn't talk that much. He's kind of like that lurker in the background, so to speak, that kind of follows John Greed around. Greed, another one of those guys who's big, who it just amazes me with some of the moves he can do. Like here's a guy who can fly over the top rope from the ring to the outside. This match, hit and miss as far as who I thought could win. I thought maybe Greed might go over, but Bailey did. And Bailey, I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. And one of the points I'll make now is you don't realize in a 2 day span when these guys are doing the the high flying moves, and all of a sudden they're in like 3 matches over the span of 2 days. I mean, the amount of cardio and endurance that's got to go with that is absolutely impressive. And Mike Bailey, It definitely one of those guys that just kind of dumbfounds me as far as his endurance in the ring.
for sure. And to know that, well, we'll preview what happened later on in the show. But yeah, everything that he did that weekend, and it's no wonder that he's impressed people when he's been here in London and they've wanted him to come back, whether it was his match with the Blade just a couple weeks ago here in London or his sort of London debut against Kevin Bennett. The fans are really flocking to him and attracted to his presentation and style. So we got Ultimo Dragon taking on the former Smash Wrestling champion Matt Cross. These two went back and forth really well, and I think they've battled each other before. I've seen a couple photos, and they really gelled excellently together. In the end, Ultimo Dragon ended up advancing to the next round, so we were going to see him 2 days in a row at the Northern Tournament. I know you definitely look forward to seeing Ultimo Dragon from the moment he was first announced. A couple of people, including Trevor, asked me to get some autographs of Dragon. I found a 25th anniversary of his career book that he was selling. Got him to sign it. Really good price for $20. So definitely worth it. You got your picture taken with him in the ring later on that day. What else can you add to that match?
All right, so I'm going to correct you just a little bit here.
Oh, sorry.
Number one, we had the pictures taken before the actual match. And one of the things I'll reference is so all of a sudden, Ultimate Dragons. I marked out the moment I found out about this, and I was like, I'm going. That's it. I don't care if I'm going by myself. And anyways, he's one of those guys on my bucket list that I want to see, as far as wrestling goes. And I got to see him. And like I said, I marked out, I bought the autograph picture, the book, the mask, the in-ring shot with him. One of the things was when he was getting in the ring to do the in-ring photos, he looked like he was in bad shape. And I'm talking like, could barely move his legs. And Sean makes a comment. He's kind of like, man, I hope that's not what we're going to see in the ring, when he's in his match against Matt Cross. And even I'm watching him get out of the ring after the in-ring photos were done, and it's still the same way. And I'm like, man, this guy is, and I hadn't seen him wrestle in the longest time, but I know when back in the day he was tremendous shape, and the Asaya Moonsault is named after this guy. So anyways, match comes up, and he comes out, and he's a little bit late with the entrance. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe his legs are still not working properly. Sure enough, he comes out, does all his move sets in the ring with Matt Cross. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, whatever that was in the ring as far as the photos go, it's not who he is in the ring as far as his matches go. And again, marked out the entire match. He's pinned Matt Cross with the Mahastral Cradle. And, again, I'm like a little kid watching one of my heroes in the ring. So I couldn't get enough of Ultimo Dragon. It's again, it's one of those guys you watch on TV 10, 15 years ago, and it's like, holy crap. Or you watch his days in WCW, and it's like, holy crap, this guy's live in front of me facing Matt Cross. So definitely could be match of the year candidate for me. But amazing pairing. And as far as you said, Sean, they have met before. There was a picture that Matt Cross had posted of the two of them doing the head-to-head shot. And again, amazing chemistry between the two. And glad Ultimate won. And one of the nicest, most humble guys you probably meet. He wasn't, his legend is tremendous. And as far as being interactive with the fans, as far as autographs or, pictures, anything like that, he was there, and he was there every time you looked, intermissions or after the show or before the show. And it was the coolest thing in the world walking into that building on Saturday and seeing him sitting there. And I was like, oh, all right, here we go. I'm going to be a little kid. So.
For sure. As you said, I was kind of worried about him, way he was gingerly walking, and it was like, oh, I didn't know he was like 60 type deal. But he definitely was something like a Festus in that respect, where came out really slow, but as soon as that bell rang, he was a totally different guy. And the Ultimate Dragon that everybody knows and respects and loves. So it's great that he was able to put on that show. He said, great being humble in the fact that also